Hello everyone, Brett the Comic Novice here, and I am doing something I've wanted to do for quite some time, and that is a solicits look. Yes, the DC Comics Solicits for April 2025 have been released, and I'm very excited to look at these and give my thoughts because in a couple of weeks, the DCBS update for my pre-orders will be available, and I like to kind of go through. And as I'm kind of looking at some of these that I really need to get more into because I'm finding the classic stories a tad bit more enjoyable than the modern stories. But that being said, I do enjoy not only reading the modern stories, but also having, the physical copy. I do have Marvel Unlimited and DC Infinite Universe app, but it's a lot different reading experience for me personally to read it on a, comic book or omnibus or epic or DC Finest, which I'm slowly getting a collection of, compared to that of something in, you know, um, digital comicsology or one of the apps. So, with that being said, I am going to be looking and excitingly look at the solicits for DC Comics from April 2025. And what I really find really exciting is that they're really looking at celebrating the Superman Day. I feel as though Batman Day is something that has been done way too much, or well, not way too much. I do appreciate Batman Day, but you know what? Let's get. I'm not saying for a Flash Day or a Green Lantern Day. However, I do think that those fans would really probably prefer that. But you know what? I like when Superman gets his due because Superman, again, truth, justice, but more importantly, hope. And yeah. So just because it's also tied to the new Superman movie that's going to be coming out in summer of 2025, we do have, I think a little bit more focus on what's coming out Superman wise than we normally would, probably. But that's just, my 2 cents. So from Bleeding Cool, we have the full April 2025 solicits, which is, according to this, more than Batman. Now, like I said, this is the summer of Superman, and there is Superman heavy items, which I think I'm kind of excited for, and certain things that it's just like, I know what you're doing, and if you can get more people into the comic book stuff, good for you. But the Summer of Superman special number 1 features writings by Dan Slott, Joshua Williamson, and Mark Waid, with cover art and the majority of the interiors, or probably all the interiors, done by Jorge Jimenez, which is going to be quite interesting because he has been doing the Chip Zdarsky Batman run for quite some time. And oddly, once Jim Lee has taken over for Batman, maybe he's, working on the next Batman arc for when the Hush 2 storyline is done. But it's going to be quite interesting to see where all-star artist Jorge Jimenez ends up and what he's doing and who he's teamed up with. Probably, I would guess to say it's going to be probably Batman again, because he did do the James Tynion Batman, and then of course, the Chip Zdarsky, until he got pulled away to do the thing with what's his face, Mark Millar. All right, so we have this. The Man of Steel and his universe of family, friends, allies, and rogues is in for some big changes, and it starts with Summer. Whoa, I can't believe I read that like that. Summer of Superman special. So, this is quite interesting. 48 pages, $5.99 price point. Again, I do like Superman. I am going to be kind of interested to see what happens here. I believe this is Dan Slott's first writing of the calendar year for Superman before his Superman Unlimited comes out, because I believe that comes out in May of 2025. So we get a sneak peek of Dan Slott on Superman before he has his, long time, maybe beating Tom Taylor's Son of Kal-El 18 issues, or beating Brian Michael Bendis's 28 or so issues on Action and Superman. So we'll have to see what that arc is going to be like, what his writing style is going to be, and hopefully we don't get, more into the Superman verse, because for some reason that was a one-trick pony for Dan Slott for too long, and also Marvel. Let's see. So we do have the return of Lex Luthor in issue 25 of Joshua Williamson's Superman. We have art by Dan Mora, Eddie Barros, and Eber Ferreira. Maybe. This is, the 25 issues, and it hasn't been canceled yet. So, we have to make it larger, and we have probably one, two, three, four, at least four variant covers that aren't the ratio. So, $1 more for those suckers. Unless you're trying to get the ratios, then you're going to be paying up the wazoo for that. So we have Superman and Superwoman are still reeling from their epic battle against Doomsday and the Time Trapper, but the bigger problem just appeared. Lex is back. So it's going to be quite interesting to see what we do with Lex, because again, we had the initial story arc with Lex helping Superman / Clark Kent, wiping everybody's knowledge of what Brian Michael Bendis did, which was him revealing himself to the world. And, if you do remember, you suffer a stroke and are hospitalized. So, there is that. And then, of course, we have what was led up to the House of Brainiac. So it's going to be quite interesting to see what Lex Luthor is up to. And I do like that, around the time that the movie's coming out, we have the reintroduction of Lex Luthor, most likely as a villain and not a friend. However, he has been working in the background. So who's to say what he is going to do besides the writer Joshua Williamson? Action Comics 1085. According to this concludes, it says, the unforgettable two-part story written by Poison Ivy's G. Willow Wilson and drawn by fan favorite Gavin Gadry. I don't know who that is. So if it's a fan favorite, the name is new to me, but it sounds like we're finally getting done with the Superman superstar writers and artists. And, I want to put a asterisk by, John Ridley. Haven't read his issue yet. Probably will, maybe won't. Who's to say what I will do except for me? And then G. Willow Wilson, she did, Wonder Woman for a while. I haven't read Poison Ivy at all, but you know what? She must have been doing something right, having a 6-issue mini, go to a 12-issue maxi, then go to an ongoing Poison Ivy story. So that being said, it might be worth checking out. And then Absolute Superman number 6. Now this is quite interesting because when we got the Absolute Universe solicits, we had all these big name writers with these big name all-star artists. And now issue number 6, Carmen D. Jaminig, that person, is now taking over instead of, was it Rafael Sandoval? And he is doing the cover for this issue, but did they just did Rafa Sandoval do the first 5 issues for the first trade? And now we're going to, take off the all-star artist. I don't know. I don't like that that's what they're doing, but hopefully they're doing what's right for, not only the company, but also for the fans of these characters that they are, swapping off writers for. Then we have issue 223, Facsimile Edition, which is interesting because I believe that is a cover for the up-and-coming DC's Finest Superman. Then finally, about a year or so in the making, we are finally to the 3rd issue of Superman: The Last Days of Lex Luthor. This was released, I believe, in early 2024. And then we never saw the issue 2. Then they reissued issue number 1 with, a second printing. And now we are finally going to have the conclusion of Mark Waid and Brian Hitch's, 3-issue, I believe it was a DC Black Label story. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do there. We have Superman the World, which again, they've done this with the Joker, they've done this with Batman, and we have a whole bunch of writers from across the world, as well as artists from across the world with their take of Superman and Superman stories. I would really like if they would use this as kind of like a talent scout so that we can have more ongoing, new artists that come into DC as well as new writers, because I feel as though some of the writers are stale and they just stick around too long because, well, there's nobody else to find. So that'd be quite interesting. Hush issue number 2 or part 2, 159. We have looks like the Red Hood standing over a oh, look, and there's blood. The Joker and Batman's blood is spelling hush, so interesting. It it's one of Batman's one of those interesting things where even as I'm currently kind of not looking at the, Chip Zdarsky run, I'm keeping my run in order. I've had that since the late Tom King era, and I've continued on. So maybe I'm a mark for this. Who's I mean, I've done the same thing with Action Comics, Superman, as well as Detective Comics. So, I think there's certain things that I just kind of am super focused on. Batman, Absolute Batman, sorry, number 2, Scott Steiner on writing it. Marcos Martin is now on art. Now, last time, so it says bombastic two-parter with a great or guest artist. So this is a two-part, um, a bombastic two-parter, with the guest artist of Marcos Martin. Maybe this is to give Nick Dragotta, some time to get ahead with issues 9 and so on. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do there. I'm glad that they've signified that this is a guest artist and not what they just did with, well, I've already sustained massive brain injury. So, anyway, Absolute Wonder Woman number 7. We have Kelly Thompson, and we have 2 artists. We have Maddie D. Julius and Dustin Wen. And the main artist for this Absolute Wonder Woman, Hayden Sherman, is just the cover artist for this one. So let's see what they're going to be doing here. It says, let's see, plus part 2 of Little Diana with the legendary Dustin Nguyen. So I didn't see it last month if this is the new artist or if they're doing what they're doing with the Absolute Batman is basically kind of giving them Hayden Sherman some time to get ahead in the next story arc. Absolute Green Lantern number 1 is coming out. I wish it was either just Hal or just John Stewart. I think it would be even funnier if it was Guy Gardner. But it's kind of interesting that we have, let's see, Joe Mullins, probably Hal Jordan, and I bet you there's probably one more. I if it's without the core, without the ring, without the willpower, what is left? Absolute Green Lantern. There's really not a lot going on there. I'm going to be quite interested. I've heard some people really like Al Ewing. The Immortal Hulk, the omnibus has been in reprint 4 different times. It has now still not gone off and needed to be reprinted for a 5th time. So there is some passion revolving around Al Ewing. I did read up to about issue number 9 of his Immortal Thor, and I just kind of pieced out of that. Some people think he gets too cosmic or whatnot. I don't know. I've only read 9 issues of the Immortal Thor, and so I'll just have to figure that out. Absolute Flash number 2. So Jeff Lemire, Nick Robles on art. It's going to be quite interesting to see how long the robe list does before we get a guest artist. Absolute Batman number 3 had a guest artist, and then we went back to the main artist, Nick Dragotta, for issue number 4. So I wonder, again, it's one of those things where if you've had some time to pad and to have these things ready to go, why the guest artist? Is it planned, or are we trying to give extra time? Absolute Manhunter, Martian Manhunter number 2, written by Dennis Camp, art by Javier Rodriguez. And I will tell you, this cover by Javier Rodriguez does nothing for me. I feel lost, confused, and abstract. I was looking at some of his Zatanna art for a Zatanna graphic novel, and it looked not like this. This, I'm not sure I'm all in on, to coin a DC phrase. And this is a 6-issue mini, a second issue. If you look at the Wikipedia, though, it does say that this is an ongoing because it could go into an ongoing if the sales dictate that it would. We'll have to wait and see. World's Finest, Batman Superman 38. Interesting that the Clayton Henry. Not the biggest Clayton Henry fan, but I do appreciate that this is a Batman and Superman book that is $3.99. This is the only place that you can get one for $3.99. Again, whenever you see Mark Waid's name, post-election, post-2020 or beginning of 2025, you now have to wonder, is this when the quality drops? If you're not sure about that, just check the video where I discuss the election result and Mark Waid less than happiness about the whole thing. The Justice League Unlimited number 6, again, Mark Waid on that. Travis Moore is the artist. He, I believe, worked a lot with Tom Taylor on the Nightwing book, as well as, I think, the Beast World at times. So, pretty good artist, but I don't know. I think I would probably rather have Jorge Jimenez on Justice League Unlimited. He did do the parts of the Justice League with Scott Snyder, Josh Williamson, and James Tynion. So be interesting to see about that. Batman Superman's World Finest annual. And interesting thing about this is it seems like this is kind of, even though it's an annual, we do have 3 writers, Mark Waid, Christopher Cantwell, and Morgan Hampton. He did the 6-part, mini with Cyborg, which was in the not All In initiative, but the DC dawn of DC. And it's so interesting to see how much DC has just burned through all of their, stories, or not stories, but their titles. Infinite Frontier. We're Infinite Frontier. No, wait, stop, pause, rewind, fast forward. Now we're in the dawn of DC. Oh, stop, pause, rewind, delete. Now we're in the All In. How long is this All In going to be for? Maybe just for 2025. I don't know. Justice League, the Atom Project number 4. Again, Ryan Parrott. I'm liking his name on there. I'm excited to see what that will be like. Not so excited to see John Ridley on there, but hopefully Ryan Parrott, who does do Rogue Sun for Image Comics for the Massive Verse, he does a great job, and we can, push Ryan Parrott's name on there and just drop John Ridley's name off there. So it'll be interesting to see. Challengers of the Unknown, have no interest in that. Oh, Christopher Cantwell. He's one of the ones that is in the Superman Batman's World's Finest annual. So it's going to be interesting to see if there's going to be a crossover there. I probably could find out, but I'm just not going to read that. The Question number 6 by Alex Segura. Never read that. Not interested. Aquaman number 4, Jeremy Adams. Because of his Flash, I'm all in on Jeremy Adams. I'm liking that he is doing both not Justice League, Green Lantern books. Jeremy Adams is one of the talents that is like almost a yes, I will buy that too because he's on it. So, and I just barely got my shipment for Aquaman #1, so I'm very excited to read that to see how well he does with Aquaman. Let's see, what else do we have? Wonder Woman. I stopped reading Wonder Woman after issue #5 by Tom King. Wish and I believe what is it? Um, Gilliam March. It looks like he is a guest artist. Daniel Sampier is off for this issue, probably only. Good for him. Detective Comics 1096. I'm all currently caught up with Detective Comics. Very good story so far by Tom Taylor and Michael Janin. All I'll say is I really hope that this story continues to do what it's doing and we don't have a Heartless situation like we did with Nightwing, where we have Heartless and then we kind of get bogged down by something else. So it'd be kind of, if Tom Taylor does what he did on Nightwing, we're going to get a, League of Batmans or some other storyline. And then we're going to get, I don't know, something else. And then just as Tom Taylor gets off the book, we'll go back to this storyline. I really hope that does not happen. Detective Comics Annual, again, just barely reading this. It looks like it's really tied in. So it's not one of those I can skip situations for Detective Comics. So that's a good thing. Simon Spurrier on The Flash. I like that I have the DC Infinite Universe app. I've slowly been catching up with Simon Spurrier's Flash. It's not as bad as I initially thought it was, but it's one of those that I don't think I can go month to month on. I think I need like a trade. And so that's what I've been doing is I've been reading the 6-issue trade that I can get because of the unlimited part of my membership. Green Arrow #23, Christopher Condon, who did that Texas Blood for Image Comic. So far, so good. I'm 2 issues behind on where I need to be for that, but very impressed. Again, like the street level stuff. I'm really liking the storyline so far, and the art for Montas has been fantastic. Secret Six by Nicole Maines. Yeah, not reading it because I do not like Jade Nakamura. The best thing that they could have done was probably kill him off in the most recent crisis, but you know what? We don't live in a world where that happened. All In Green Lantern #22 by Jeremy Adams. Zermanico is now back on as artist, which is a fantastic thing. He had taken a couple issues off. I was curious where he was going to go, and I'm glad that, again, Zermanico is once again on Green Lantern. Green Lantern Corps. Let's see, I'm just curious. Okay. Green Lantern Corps. Sorry, I was just checking the price because they used to do a side story. Now I've noticed that Batman, Detective Comics, and also Superman was the first one to no longer do the side story. It was just $4.99. Green Lantern is now $4.99, no backup story, and Green Lantern Corps is $3.99, no backup story, of course. But this is Jeremy Adams and Morgan Hampton, again, who did the Cyclops 6-issue mini for Dawn of DC, which might be good, but I never read. And as this one has not come out yet, I have no idea what this is. Interesting about Harley Quinn #50, they rebooted this series to the numbering once they had the DC Infinite tagline on all of their comics. So it's been 50 issues of Harley Quinn, and they did do, I think, bi-weekly shipping at one point in time, like either last year or 2 years ago, to celebrate the 30th anniversary of Harley Quinn existing or something like that. So it hasn't been 50 weeks since Infinite Frontier, but it's been, probably about 44. So, or not 44 weeks, 44 months. There we go. That makes more sense. So really not that long since they did the Infinite Frontier reboot after the Dark Knight's death metal, and that after they killed Wonder Woman and whatnot. But comics gonna do what comics gonna do. Poison Ivy #32, written by G. Willow Wilson. Haven't not read a single issue of these, and it's okay. Catwoman Number 75 by Torn Grunbeck. I read the first issue of this, was really intrigued, read the second issue, and I felt really lost. And then I believe they changed the artist in issue number 3, and then they went back to another artist in issue number 4, and now we're on a different artist in issue, I think this is issue number 6 of the All In initiative for Catwoman. So I think I'm about ready to drop Catwoman and just read it on the app, just because of the, I don't know, it's almost like they don't really believe in it. Interesting thing about this one though, 75, they started this with issue number 1 in 2018, and they've been shipping this once a month except for the 2-month issue of the Future State. And then they continued with the numbering. They did not renumber it with the Infinite Universe or Dawn of DC. So it's kind of interesting that this has basically, the numbering has continued since mid or post DC Rebirth. So kind of interesting about that. Nightwing 125, Dan Waters. Interesting. Dexter Stoy has been the artist, Francisco Francavilla. Is he a guest artist, or is he going full time on this? Again, this is the interesting thing that DC's doing during the month of April, is we're constantly either getting a guest artist, or B, are we moving on to a new artist? New Gods. Need to read issue number 1. I've heard so many great things. Issue number 1 and 2 have had a second reprinting. So, I mean, that just goes to the quality of what the story has been so far. And I'm really intrigued to read that, as well as crack open my, New Gods omnibus by Jack Kirby and John Byrne. JSA number 6, I will tell you, I have not actually read any of this so far because I was still so far back during Jeff Johns' constant late book for the Justice Society of America. I still haven't finished that story arc. I need to get on that, and I probably need to pick up some of the Sandman as well as the Jay Garrick Flash. I'm not reading what's his face's Green Lantern because Tim Sheridan because I followed that, and yeah, swipe left on that. We have the Power Company Recharge number 1. I guess that's a thing. Brian Edward Hill, who is currently the believe he was writing the Blade and some of the Blood Hunt stories for Marvel, as well as he is the writer for the Ultimate Black Panther, which I've only read 1 issue of, even though I currently have all of them to this point. I just, time is such an issue. So it'll be interesting to see what that happens. I'll just probably pick that up on the app. Batman and Robin number 20. I'm really digging this. The one problem I do have with this is we kind of have Robin, Damian Wayans, kind of having issues in this book and also in the Detective Comics currently, or with, the violence and seeing the dead bodies of young victims. And it's almost like Philip Kennedy Johnson and Tom Taylor are not in communication with each other and almost doing the same exact thing to his character. And you'd think that there needs to be some synchronization or some synergy with the whole situation. But you know what? Maybe one takes place before the other, but you'd think that one would reference the other. But that's just being nitpicking because I'm a nerd. But I do like this Batman and Robin. I had completely dropped off completely from the Joshua Williamson run after the first 6 issues, after this Shush storyline. In fact, I think I dropped it before this Shush reveal, if it was revealed, because it just didn't interest me, as well as the art by whoever was doing the art. Javi Fernandez is good, but I did like the fill-in artist of Madonko, I think. Really like that. Black Canary, the best of the best, written by Tom King. Ryan Sook. Ryan Sook is a really good artist. Have not picked this up and kind of don't. Don't really want to. I think I've said that a couple times. Batman: The Dark Patterns, Dan Waters, Hayden Sherman. So the artist for the Absolute Wonder Woman is on this. I did not realize that. This it's I feel personally, unless I'm really invested in these maxi series or whatnot, I think it's just easier just to trade weight, especially because it's Batman, because there's so many, like, 6 issue, 12 issue series featuring Batman that, you know what, to get them all would just be insane and probably not friendly on the wallet. Let's see. We got the long Halloween, the last Halloween. I think they took some time off in between 6 and 7, so I can get caught up on that on the app. Batgirl number 6, I went to try to get this one, and I just figured, why? Might be good, but why? Titans number 22, John Layman writing, and Daniel Bayliss, who is now taking over for Pete Woods, maybe as a guest artist, because Pete Woods has been the artist on this book since issue number 1, except for the 3rd issue when somebody else was on it. Sure. I think that's what, again, April is going to be, is guest artist. Maybe. Birds of Prey number 20 by Kelly Thompson. Sammy Basari, I think he did Aquaman as the artist. I think he's a pretty solid artist. I thought the art or the coloring of this was very off in the first 6 issues. I only went and did the first 6 and just kind of been sitting back and just kind of enjoying it on the app. According to the app, this series is absolutely on fire and is something that is really worth picking up. Power Girl number 20, I have no interest in this whatsoever. Zatanna number 3, this is a mini series by Jamal Campbell, drawn by Jamal Campbell, and I have not yet read this yet. Peacemaker Presents. This is a James Gunn. This is from consultant James Gunn, story consultant James Gunn, written by Tim Seeley and Rex Ogle. I'm not going to watch or do that. Then we have spinning out of the pages of Absolute Power and DC All In Special. We have Fire and Ice When Hell Freezes Over number 1. So Fire and Ice was, Welcome to Smallville about last year, and now we have another 6-issue mini. Again, probably maybe not worth it. Metamorpho, The Element Man. I'm glad that you have a mini series. I think it's like a 7-issue mini series. Two-Face, Christian Ward. I don't know. Maybe if Christian Ward did the art as well as the writing, but yeah. Then, of course, we have Free Comic Book Day, the DC All In Absolute Universe. I'm curious what this says. It says DC All In Saga explodes into a brand new Free Comic Book Day flip book. Flip book? Like the things that I made when I was in elementary school? First up, the core line DC Universe soars into Superman action with the dazzling debut of superstar writer Dan Slott alongside acclaimed artist Raphael Albuquerque in this special 0-issue installment of the forthcoming Superman Unlimited series. You will witness the prelude to the biggest Superman comic book adventure of the year, as well as an ominous new threat from the heavens that will change the course of the Kryptonian life on planet Earth as we know it. So this is going to be the jumping on point for Dan Slott's story. And then the absolute universe expands. Dark forces begin to gather in the shadows. Forces that have been waiting a very long time to shape events and seize control, all while mysterious figures watch. But who is the powerful new character? Oh, so we're going to get a first appearance here? Oh, look. Somebody is punching through and shattering reality. I wonder if it's Superboy. We got Superman Good Guy Gang, which is a Free Comic Book Day special edition. We have Kanga U, which, sure, why not? DC versus Vampires. I was all in on some of these Elseworld stuff, and when I had to purge some of my collection, these were the ones that went first. Um, I think some of these Elseworld stuff is going to be something I would collect in trade paperback or, deluxe hardcover. Same with Green Lantern Dark, Resurrection Man, Quantum Karma. I thought it was an ongoing. I thought it was reported initially as an ongoing, but it's a 6-issue mini by Ram V. Interesting that is a 6-issue mini. DC and Sonic, whatever. Facsimile. Teen Titans Go. That's fun. Superman Good Guy Gang. And then, of course, you have some of the things interesting about the Golden Age Omnibus #1. They have reprinted this sucker so many times. And it's interesting because the Superman, the DC Finest, has Action Comics 1 to 25 and Superman 1 to 5. And this one just has 6 extra issues of Action Comics and 2 extra issues of Superman. Also, this has the World's Fairs. I think that has also that in there. Anyway, I would, instead of picking up this, just pick up DC's Finest. Unless you really want the omnibus, but I would just do that. Support the DC Finest. I'd like that to continue. Philip Kennedy Johnson's Omnibus #1. Excellent. We got, how many pages is this sucker? 1,012 pages for $125. I'd love to pick this up, but I own all of these, and I think it would just be silly. I do like that they actually put in the Superman and the Authority written by Grant Morrison in here. So that's going to be fun. And then we have some other stuff. I'm just going to scroot through here. Let's see, anything else of interest? DC Finest. Okay, we have The Killing Joke and Other Stories. So I will definitely be picking up that. Catwoman, Vengeance and Vindication. Definitely be picking up that one. Metamorpho. They're getting, interesting thing about this one is this one's coming out. When is it coming out? On the 17th of June. So around the time or a little bit beyond the time in which the movie has come out, I think that this should be out well before the Superman movie. And I don't have tickets pre-ordered for that. And then Superman Kryptonite Nevermore. This is another one that I'd be picking up too. And let's see, those pocket-sized ones, Birds of Prey, all that other fun stuff. Another Hush Absolute Edition. And then anything else? Deceased Omnibus. Yeah. No, maybe. Who knows? Jenny Sparks. No. This is one I probably will get. This Detective Comics New 52 Omnibus #1. I picked up and found the entire run of this. So who knows? Maybe that would just be silly for me to do because I do have the entire run. But I do appreciate it, and I would like a volume #2 for that, as well as this one right here, Red Lantern. It's so interesting, everybody's thoughts on New 52 or whatnot. But as I look at what I have currently for my omnibus and also what is available on for pre-orders these past couple months, there's always been like a new Red Lantern one. There's going to be a Supergirl New 52. Last month there was the reprinting of the Nightwing, which I believe it's a third printing of the Nightwing, and then the second printing of the Red Hood for New 52. So it's quite interesting to see that for something that a lot of people really did not like and were satisfied with, they did another one. So yeah, that being said, that is the solicits for April 2025. What sticks out to you? What are you looking at picking up? What are you looking at passing on? What are you interested in? Please comment down below, like, subscribe, hit the bell for notification if you like. And until next time, I will see you in the dollar section, where many of these will probably be found in the dollar section. Thanks for watching. Bye.